How can we make the world better? By making ourselves better. The Dr. Joe Show explores how you can make positive personal change by using his groundbreaking and highly effective I Am approach to understand who we are and why we do what we do. Your small changes can have big effects.
Join us now for the Dr. Joe Show with Mark Stiles of Stiles Law and your host, Dr. Joe Schrand.
Hey, here we are. It's Dr. Joe and Friends every week right here on WATD 95.9, your South Shore everything. What's up, Dr. Joe?
Wow, Mark, that is right on the money. Really great. Dr. Joe, so it's the Dr. Joe and Friends? The Dr. Joe Show and Friends? Dr. Joe and Friends.
Dr. Joe and Friends.
Dr. Joe and Friends. Yeah. Well, you know, it is true because certainly every friend was once a stranger. So we're going to be talking tonight about musical theater. And I must admit, I have been intrigued and loved musical theater since I was a little kid. I think the first show I ever saw may have been Fiddler on the Roof, way back when. But actually might have been Brigadoon. I think, yes, it was Brigadoon even before that. Now, musical theater isn't for everyone, right, Mark?
That's right, Dr. Joe.
But does it intrigue you at all, or it's?
I'm fascinated by the skill, right? The talent and the hard work that it takes to do one. I will be candid. There's not a tremendous amount of musicals that I've enjoyed. However, there are some, and but it's definitely not the genre of choice for me when it comes to entertainment, if you will. Yeah, and that's okay.
It's absolutely okay. It is not that way for everyone.
We all have our own I Am.
Yes, that's right. Absolutely. It's an I Am. For me, musical theater, like it integrates all the most remarkable parts of this very amazing art form. Not only is there music, but there's incredible lyrics, which are so skillfully crafted. I mean, it's remarkable poetry to be really able to craft this lyrical component. The arc of a character, it can go anywhere. And I think for some people, it's clear what the transitions are between like the real intense stuff and then there's more sort of bright, lyrical, silly music. So I think it takes the audience in different places in a way that sometimes other theater may be a bit more sort of guided in one area. Musical theater anywhere. But the reason we're talking about it tonight is because we have an incredible guest.
Yeah, we do.
From our local regional company theater, and I am just so honored to have her here again. Mark, could you introduce our guest for tonight?
I can, Dr. Joe. Our guest tonight is the co-founder, co-director, who recently celebrated 46 years as co-founder of the Company Theater right here on the South Shore. She is originally from Illinois, actively pursuing film, photography, and fine art at the Art Institute of Chicago. This individual rapidly grew that beautiful entity into a thriving nonprofit right here on the South Shore. Their team, the theater complex and adjoining buildings, were purchased in 1982.
Wow.
She directed nearly 200 plays, musicals, and original performance art, most of them alongside her co-founder. She's been recognized by the City of Quincy, the Independent Reviewers of New England, and the New England Theater Conference with a Lifetime Achievement Award for Excellence in American Theater. She's a 5-time award winner of the prestigious Moss Hart Award for Best Production in New England. Her original works include Gloryland, The American Show, and 2 historical musicals, Paragon Park, which I wanted to see that, Joan of Arc opera. Please meet the president and artistic director of the community theater, Zoe Bradford. Welcome to the show, Zoe.
Hello, Mark and Dr. Joe. It's so great to be here. Yes, we're the Company Theater, actually. I hate to correct you right away, but we
What did I say?
community theater.
But it's like a community theater, but it's absolutely the company theater.
Yes, indeed. Yes, we're sort of we're an enigma. We're not exactly a repertory theater. We're not exactly professional. We're not exactly community either. This is our livelihood. This is what we do for a living. This is our passion. And we've been doing it a very long time. And we have our own building and our own educational program, which is huge. So we're just in our own category. So people do use us as a stepping stone to professional theater all the time. I've got lots of people on Broadway, national tours, et cetera, that have come through our doors.
It's amazing.
So cool. How many, I mean, I don't mean to date things, but how many years is this going?
Well, I'm in my 46th year. We started the theater in 1978. We in a church basement with a bunch of kids. We started off as a youth theater for the first like 2 years, and then we quickly changed into a everybody theater, all ages. But yeah, because that was really the goal ultimately. But the kids started us off. They worked with us at the YMCA, which doesn't even exist anymore in Weymouth, but they all showed up at our doorstep and said, please start a theater. The theaters there weren't very many back then in the 70s. We've sort of set a precedent for lots of pop-ups since then, lots of theaters, some that make it, some that don't. It's a very tough business, but, I'm happy to say that we grew to such success in the 70s and 80s that by 1992 we were able to purchase our own complex, not just a theater, but it's a whole campus basically with a theater and a lobby, green room, dressing rooms, a rehearsal space, technical theater space, classrooms. It's and a beautiful yard, so it's
And
great.
parking. Let's not ignore that, because that can be one of the most, blockade games. Really, I mean,
Yeah.
that's part of, if you go into Boston, you're not going to be able to park someplace for free.
Oh, such a pain. I know.
So I'm telling you, do not underestimate this, listeners. You can go right in, you drive right up there, you park, and you walk right into the theater.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful space. And you've done season after season after season. What are we going to be able to see now?
Now we're getting. I'm getting to do something that I absolutely am wild about. It's the Hunchback of Notre Dame. It's a little bit of an underdog, and it shouldn't be. It's absolutely a brilliant piece of musical theater. I know not everybody loves musical theater, and I tend to love musicals that are sung through because I don't like to go back and forth between dialogue and music. But this one, though it's not an opera, has or in other words, sung through musical, but it does have a very continuous score. It's written by two of the greatest in our lifetime, Stephen Schwartz, who you know for Godspell and Wicked. Of course, everybody knows Wicked. And then you've got Alan Menken, who's done every Disney classic, crazy, with the Frozen and the Beauty and the Beast, and and other things too, like Legally Blonde. His list goes on and on. He's a delight. So those two got together and created something that is beyond musical theater because it has a classic approach to it. It is a lot of singing of Latin and hymn-like songs, in addition to wonderful musical theater belts and ballads and choral work and all of that. So it's so musically rich that that's one of the things that makes it delightful.
Yeah, it is. What did you mean earlier when you said that the musical about going right through with minimal scripts or?
Right. And sometimes if you go back, the first musical written where the story, where the music and lyrics helped tell the story was way back in the 1940s with Oklahoma. That was a groundbreaker because before it was just like, oh, we're going to put on a show. You know what I mean? And it really didn't have a storyline through it. So that was sort of a groundbreaker. And since then, of course, there have been things that have been sung through, like Rent, for instance, is a perfect example of something contemporary, but we don't stop and we don't chat a lot. We just keep on going. And I love that style because it doesn't break. It doesn't break. It's like you're in it and you don't fall in and out of it. Like, oh, I think I'll sing a song now. That's not exactly my favorite. I think Hunchback achieves a brilliant flow of still having a story. People are still talking, but the ensemble tells some of the story within the music, and it's all underscored. It's just beautiful. So, and what's unique about this is not only do we have a cast of 20 and an orchestra of 14 players of the best, great people from Boston, but we also have a 22-person chorus on stage who's learned all this background music and, choral stuff separately so that they are dressed, monastically, basically. I say like kind of like monks, and they're in the pews in the back. They're right on stage and they are singing their hearts out. And it's just when they open their mouths, and then you've also got our 20-person, actors. People are saying their hair's standing on end. It's so good. I love that.
It is, and Cal and I, we got a chance to see it last week, and it is really spectacular. Was that staging your idea, or is that something that's been adopted from other performances?
Well, I saw it at a Gunquit some years ago and fell in love with it. I had never seen it before, and they also had their chorus on stage. So I think that's something that people do, but that's also very limiting. You really have to think about where you're putting these people if you want people to move around. Their cast seemed actually smaller than ours, and I remember they were so surrounded by choral people that the actual staging of the storytelling was small, and it was powerful. It was great. But what's unique about ours is we've got these folks tucked into the back under arches and pews, so they feel like a kind of hiding in Notre Dame there. And that feels very kind of, religious anyway. So it's kind of really special. It's mysterious. It comes out of the darkness, and that's really cool stuff. So that's original, a little bit original in concept. What is really original is our interpretation of the gargoyles.
Yes.
So, yes.
Yeah. And those,
if I could, they were cool. Now, if I can tell you a little history.
Okay.
Victor Hugo, when he wrote this novel in the 1800s, and this takes place, by the way, in the 1400s, about 60 years after the death of Joan of Arc. I marked a lot of things off by that, having written a huge rock opera about her. But anyway, so it's in the 1400s. And when this was written in the 1800s, Notre Dame Cathedral was in horrible disrepair. And people had just sort of let it go, which I think is very interesting. And when this novel came out, it was so beloved that people not only restored it, but they created the gargoyles that he wrote about in his novel, which did not exist on the cathedral roofs. The only gargoyles they had were on downspouts for the rain. And they did have those, but they didn't have those classic guys with their tongues hanging out and their horns and all that. That didn't even exist at Notre Dame until Victor Hugo wrote this novel. Isn't that cool?
That is a great, great piece of history.
It is.
There's so much to talk about. Each act, is just tremendous. The gargoyles are remarkable. And you fell in love with it so long. One of the things I just want to get to is one of the things that I've fallen in love with recently are our sponsors. And so I really just want to take a moment and just hear from them so that we can give them a round of applause as well. So, Larry, we'll be right back with Zoe Bradford Company Theater, Dr. Joe and Friends show. We'll be right back.
Hey, folks, thank you for listening to the Dr. Joe Show. We've been investigating whether or not we want to bring sponsors into our podcast. What are your thoughts? Do you know somebody who might be a good partner with the Dr. Joe Show, who may want to align their product or service with the Dr. Joe Show? Think about it. And we're back with Dr. Joe and Friends with the one and only Zoe Bradford from Company Theater, who is hosting right now an amazing show of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. How do you decide which shows you want to produce?
Oh, that is one of the hardest parts of the year, quite frankly, Mark. That's a tough one. You really have to know your audience. Our audiences have changed their taste over the years. I think we have helped inspire people to go ahead and see a show they don't know. That's one of the hardest things that has been in my career is convincing people, oh, I don't know that one. Yeah, I guess I won't see it. No, see it because we'll do a good job
Yeah.
and disappoint, and you're going to see something new. And now people are, over the past couple of decades, people are really buying into that, So, I love to give a classic here or there. I love to give, things that people do recognize, but it's also very important to me to give a theater with a message. This one in particular is so powerful for right now. And also to make people think or just make people feel something. You've got to feel something. Arts are vital. So picking the shows, we try to think what will be family friendly for a lot of our stuff. Then we'll usually end up putting one or two things that are really just designed for adults. Not to say it's anything off the Richter scale, but certainly things that maybe just that would be a grown up night. So, our youth are very important to us. We do a lot of things that just are family friendly too. But most importantly, you've got to have it so that we keep it fresh. We always try to have something, one or two things that are new in our season that either we've never done before or that people really haven't seen too much before. Or it's a brand new release of something because you see rights hold everything very tight. So, you can either get them or not. This one I had to wait a really long time for. I've been wanting this for about 8 or 9 years now, dying for this. And then it available recently.
Hunchback?
Yeah.
You had to wait 8 or 9 years?
Yeah.
Why is
God, I waited 12 years to get the rights to Chicago because it's still playing on Broadway. They just wouldn't stop. They just wouldn't release them. They went to like high school sometimes or smaller groups. We're just at that enigma, like I explained before, where we're not a little theater, but we're not a big theater. We're not a fully professional, but we're not amateur either. So what are we? We're just the company theater, I guess. But so we have a lot of restrictions on what we can and cannot do. So
that adds a whole nother dimension that I don't think any of our listeners really knew or appreciated. I certainly
right.
So
right. And then people have to realize that we have to think about the support because I'm proud to say that our ticket sales support us. Now, they always have. Ticket sales and tuitions are our supporters. And that is part of the choice too, because I can put in one show a year maybe that I think, well, it may sell, it may not, but I'm going to be really proud of it. We'll just do it. But the other things have to be somewhat commercially successful because if you rely on grants, you may be telling a very sad tale. And I've always felt that way since the 80s when we were first going. We got local grants and things like that, but I never depended on grants to make our nonprofit organization be viable. So, of course, I've got to pick things that I think people want to see and will pay to see. And that's also important.
Yes. And how, I'm still sort of stunned by this 7, 8, 9 years of waiting, 12 years for Chicago. How far in advance do you plan the next season?
Just a year in advance. We just finished off pretty much finalizing 2026 today. Actually, we were talking about it so that we're nice and ahead of the game. If something really hot comes out, you know what I mean, that everybody's dying to do, we might bump a show and put something else in. But for the most part, we try to just stick with the schedule. People have got it a year in advance. They can rely on it. They'll enjoy it, and so on. So that's part of the fun too.
How many shows do you typically do a year?
9.
9.
Yeah, it's a lot of shows in 12
That
months.
is.
Yes.
Who typically holds the rights on these?
It's there's two companies. One's called Concord Theatricals. The other one's called Music Theater International. They're both out of New York. They'll hold it for London, for anything. You know what I mean? Every place. So those are the two major, American/European countries. Us English-speaking countries, whatever. Those are the companies. So there's a couple of others too, but they're smaller. But they hold most of the rights. And so another thing that people should realize about our nonprofit organization, people don't realize how expensive it is to put on a musical. It's our royalties are about $30,000 per show. If it's a big show, if it's a youth show with a smaller ticket price, it'll be less. but not a ton less, but it'll be less.
But that's for the entire run, right?
That's for the entire run of the show, right?
Of the show. Okay.
Yeah. But you've got that. And then if you're going to run for a month, and of course you have your orchestra, and that's going to be another, 15 to 20,000 plus. So you're getting up there. Our shows are very expensive to run, and it's worth it because we have so much talent that just pours in because they want to work with Robert McDonough, who's one of our musical directors. Mel Karubi is another musical director. People want to work with these people, and me and Sally too, I guess, and all of us.
That's not a guess, Zoe. It's not. I have to guess that me and Sally absolutely even Sally.
Yeah, and we give them a great experience. So they can feel like they're in a pro show because they've got all the accoutrements of doing a real performance. So that's great, and comfortable seeing all that.
I am honored, Mark. I don't know if you know, but I was in performance at Company.
Yeah. Yes, he was.
And my other kid, Sophie, was in it. So I'm telling you, folks, if you want that experience of being part of a community that is giving back, go and audition and be part of Company Theater. I'm telling you, it is a wonderful experience. But what I'm really interested in, what we're talking about, is the business side of theater. I don't think that we've really explored that much.
So, it's really important, and it's the other half of the brain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At what point does it become fair use, though? Like, at how many years of existence does it?
The only thing that's fair use are things that were written like Gilbert and Sullivan, Shakespeare. Oh no, there's not. Even things like from the 30s, like Anything Goes or something. You still have to pay a royalty. No, it's all tied up. Some are much less, than others because they're so old. But that includes, your royalty also includes the rental of scores and the books with the lines in it and so on. So there's just a lot to it. So you basically, the only things that are free range are things that are very, very old, centuries old. So
there we are. That's why nobody pay for anything I do.
Right. That's wild.
So I mean, Ibsen, those folks you still would have to pay.
Well, yeah, but that's if it's just I shouldn't say it's a play. If it's a play, it's probably going to be like $50 a night or $25 or $50 a night. It is not the expense of a musical.
Really?
But I've had a few plays where they were way more expensive than I thought they would be. Maybe it's $100 a performance or whatever. But this is all part of the theater business, and I guess that's interesting to your viewers as well.
Yeah.
But I think what's most important is that they're going to get some entertainment, that's going to stay with them.
Yes.
I think.
And can you cover that with ticket sales, or do you require ticket sales plus sponsors in order to?
Oh no, we have a few. We have a few sponsors. W. Mason's been very good to us. Sullivan Tire, and they're great. But not your average Joe's gives us food support, because we have to feed a lot of people sometimes. But basically we're our own deal. We're self-supporting, and we love those extras because it really helps when we have the huge expenses. This building is on 3.2 acres. It's I forget what the square footage is. It's enormous. So, obviously there's roofs and there's HVAC and everything. So, I mean, that's the other side of my business that I have to be aware of and keep things fresh and, operating properly. I have a lot of great help with that. So that's fantastic too. I've had Bob Grazioso, who's my building supervisor, has been with us since the 80s, before we even had a building. So, he knows every inch of the place. So, I've got great support, and, and then I've got a fantastic team of artists. So, that's the other thing. Robert McDonough is directing our music and also head of our education. And then we have Sally Ashton Forrest is the vice president now. She's taken over since the passing of my partner, Jordy Saucerman, who I founded the theater with. And I've elected her as the vice president of the organization. So she knows the place inside and out. It's great. So and so they can help with the business and the business of running the building, the business of running the theater. I've got this great support, the business of running the educational component. So that's key.
So is that like a camp? Do you have summer camps?
We do. Yeah, we have a big 3-week summer workshops, we call them. And it's all day and the kids love it. There's a big performance at the end of that, an arts festival, basically, where we celebrate all kinds of arts. It's not just theater, it's music, it's dance, it's all kinds of dance, not just when you go to you learn your jazz, tap, ballet. We have Bollywood and dance specifically for like hip hop or rap, all kinds of things. So kids love all that. And then we have a whole media department with film, video. That's very, very big for us, photography. And the kids love all that and learn the technology, which is really great. There's a lot of technology in the lighting. So we have lighting classes. That kind of lighting design is, we have great state-of-the-art equipment, and it's complicated, robotic lights. There's a lot of stuff to learn. So the kids get a lot out of it.
It is a remarkable business. I want to talk more about that. We have some businesses that we're also going to be talking about during the commercial break. Those are our sponsors. So we're going to take a quick Act 2 break and be right back with Zoe Bradford and Company Theater.
Hey folks, welcome back. So any thoughts? Do you listen to other podcasts? Do you see how they do the sponsors? Is there a way that they're utilizing sponsors that you enjoy or you don't enjoy? I listen to SmartList and I really enjoy how the co-hosts share the voiceover for the product or service. It's really funny for the most part, but it's unique. It's them really endorsing. Does that work? What do you think?
And we're back with the Dr. Joe Show, or Dr. Joe and Friends. And here we are with one of his longtime friends, Zoe Bradford of Company Theater, who is currently running an amazing production of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Zoe?
And how do people get tickets? How long is the run? We've got a little bit.
Yeah. No, we got to get into all that. Fantastic.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Well, you can get tickets online, but I'm glad you brought that up because I want to emphasize here and any opportunity that I have that if you're going to buy your tickets online, go to companytheater.com. Nothing else. When you type in Company Theater on your laptop or computer, whatever you've got, it's all kinds of things are going to come up, including like Ticket Stub and Ticket Hub and tickets.com and all this kind of stuff. It's all fake and they're all overcharging. It's a crisis that not only we're having at Company Theater, but theaters across the Commonwealth and probably beyond. I call them ticket pirates. They basically they might buy our tickets at cost, but then they sell them for 3 times the amount. I've got people who've been paying up to $150 a ticket for our shows because they just don't know. They just assume we've gone up in prices. I guess, for whatever reason, they're doing this and it's a problem. So be sure to go to companytheater.com and then that will take you right to our tickets. And then you will pay the proper price because you shouldn't ever be paying more than right now than $60 a ticket, which is a bargain. So, and we have for less too. So,
it's also very comforting to know that somebody will also pay $150. Folks, you don't need to do that.
Right.
It's nice to know that you would, because you're seeing such quality theater. So let's dig right into Hunchback.
Yes. So Hunchback, which runs, by the way, from July 20, from this weekend, from tonight all the way till August 17th. Those are Thursday through Sunday performances. So I just wanted to mention that because I know people may want to include it in their next 2 weeks. And so Hunchback is played by Salvatore. I don't know if you know Sal, but he is a real gift. He has grown up with us, which is very special. Sal Garcia, and he's been in a lot of our school shows. In fact, he's a Victor Hugo fan because he played Jean Valjean when our youth did Les Mis. There's a youth version you can do, which is basically the same thing as the grown-up one. It's not very different. But at any rate, he killed that as Jean Valjean, and now he has returned to do this show. And he is a really gifted young man he's getting fantastic reviews because reviewers are saying he has a childlike innocence, and yet he is a man, and he's got the capabilities to think and reason, and but he's lonely. And so this is where our gargoyles come in. And when I had the concept of these gargoyles, I said, I've got to have 3 what we call triple threats in the business. They have to act, sing, and dance, and they have to do it fantastic. And the dancing is really more like gymnastics. They're all over the place. Because I thought, well, if a gargoyle, this winged, weird creature that's half lion, half lizard, whatever they are, is going to come to life, what would it be like? Well, how would it move? What is it? And the reason they come to life is because they are really part of Quasimodo. They're his inner feelings, his inner thoughts. He calls them his friends, and they each have a very distinct personality. So that's very unique to our production, and I think it makes it extremely appealing for kids. But I'm also getting huge kudos from adults who really like this concept also, because it makes them think, wow, oh, there's one that's very reasonable. There's one that's very playful. There's one, and so on. So, and you see that in his personality, but now it's projected out on these gargoyles, which are beautifully costumed. We have a new costumer. Her name is Kira O'Connor, and she did a beautiful job imagining all of that with me. We really worked on that concept together, and she did a great job. So anyway, so you've got Quasimodo, and he's, locked away in the bell tower. He's been born, deformed. And, when he goes out into the town square, despite he has one caregiver, Frollo, who's technically his uncle. He's an archdeacon, the Archdeacon of Notre Dame. And he's a very foreboding and interesting character, who is played by Peter Adams, and it's very depthful. You can't just have a one-dimensional villain. Even maybe the Disney cartoon does, but which is really a fun thing to watch. But I think this villain has reasons why he's hurt and overdoes the morality and all of that. He's a tortured individual himself. So
I love the way you meet them. You meet him when he's still a kid,
right?
And then you see, most of the show is seen as an adult, but you get that window into him. Yeah.
Yes.
Very,
Exactly.
very, very well done.
Yeah, and that makes him more. You see his vulnerable moments, and then you see, he's had a big rise to, and the importance in the church. But he not really. He's not really. He doesn't treat Quasimodo fairly. He's really quite abusive sometimes, and then other times he's very tender. It's not, like I say, it's not just all on one level. But by the time Esmeralda, the beautiful, they say gypsy, which is a term that we now say Romani people, but she is the beautiful young woman who dances and comes with a traveling troupe of gypsies who are performing for a feast, the Feast of Fools. They used to have these religious feasts, but this one is a non-religious. This is just a fun, like a quote unquote fun thing to do in medieval times. And, it goes on from there, where Quasimodo is quite rejected by humanity. And the Frollo takes him back and says, no, you cannot go out anymore. But Esmeralda is the kind soul who shows him that he is reminds him that he's not just a monster. He's not a monster. Right.
He's human.
Right.
Exactly. Human.
Exactly.
He's not stone like a gargoyle.
Right. And there's a lot of lyric about that, which I think is so incredibly powerful. And I was trying to find her bio because she is Cape Verdean, and this is her first show with us. She is a science teacher in real life in the Brockton school system for, I think, junior. And she really has it going on. She is a powerhouse of performing, and I'm just delighted with her, Selena Lopes. And she said, she loves that she loves the character because the character is so fierce. The character believes in protecting her people and doing anything she can for her people, which is how she felt about her own people being, of Cape Verdean descent. And I think this just really touched her heart and soul when she got this particular role, and she has put 100% into it. So she said she always represents truth and justice, and that's fantastic. She really, brought that in, and it's effective. Now she sings this fantastic song, "God Loves the Outcast," when she first arrives at the cathedral, because of course she'd probably never even been in a church before. So she's kind of overwhelmed with its majesty and its power it's transformative, because it offers sanctuary. Sanctuary is a word that's used all through the show. Yeah. And, that's where you would find sanctuary, in a house of prayer, a house for God, but the experience is, no, there is no sanctuary. And that's what feels like today. That's where it's hitting everybody home. You can't have sanctuary if you can't exist where your people aren't accepted, or the color of your skin, your different beliefs, your nationality. If you choose to love somebody that's not the same, same sex, whatever it is, it's you have to, you are an outcast. So Quasimodo is an outcast for sure. And so is Esmeralda. And bottom line, I think, though the Archdeacon Frollo is not really an outcast, but he is a lonely individual as well. So we see a lot of things going on in here, and this Archdeacon can feel very inwardly dark, but
he's taking Quasimodo in. I mean, maybe
right.
But he didn't abandon his dying brother's child.
Right. And this is the thing that's kind of touching. And then, of course, he uses religion as a weapon eventually, and that's the problem. And that is a problem that is reoccurring throughout history, because you can't have you cannot have this freedom if you're going to be judging, and that's the problem. So I think it has a great message of that. Who is you. It's important to have a revelation, and there are revelations and there are resolutions in this, and people are transformed in this. So that's the kind of journey I like to take in theater, because it's so special. And then there's humor in it, because if you don't have humor, what do you have?
Right. Right. And that humor, from a neurobiological point of view, it just gives you a break from the intensity of the other emotions that you're just experiencing.
Right.
The idea, of course, that we need sanctuary at all is so disturbing, isn't it?
Isn't it?
Yeah. That we're still in a world where we don't embrace everyone. That we need sanctuary.
We need sanctuary, and if you're driven out because you are different, and that's happening today, then that's, you need shelter. You need that place where you can be safe.
And with Quasimodo, he's so alone. I mean, folks, we really need to go and check out the show, because what Quasimodo represents is that person who can be so easily maligned and misunderstood simply because of the way they look.
That's right.
Simply because of the way they look.
Yeah.
And one of the things that, we're grateful for is the sanctuary that we have, the safety that we feel here on the Dr. Joe and Friends show, by having sponsors who take us in. The sponsors will take us in, give us sanctuary, so that we can ring the bells for all of you to hear later on this week. So we'll take a break. We'll be right back with the Dr. Joe show and Friends.
Hey, welcome back. And again, we're super grateful for you listening to the Dr. Joe show. If you have anyone that you think might be a good sponsor, shoot us an email at drjoepodcast@gmail.com. DRJOE podcast@gmail.com. Give us your thoughts about the show too. We're wondering, are we talking to the trees, or are people really gaining value in this? Please let us know. Thank you again, and enjoy the rest of the show.
And we're back with the Dr. Joe Show. Dr. Joe and friends, and one of his friends right here, Zoe Bradford of Company Theater, who is currently hosting the Hunchback of Notre Dame at the Company Theater. And you can see that show right here on the South Shore at the Company Theater.
Yeah,
So go.
What's the run? I just want to get the run, and then I'm going to get Mark's.
Yes, we're running now through through August, now through August 17th.
Okay.
And it's Thursday through Sundays, both weekends.
Okay. Folks,
So
tickets while you can. Mark, what are we going to ask?
So what makes a monster and what makes a man?
Yeah.
That's the lyric. That's the lyric that we open with and we close with. As we ring the bells of Notre Dame, which, by the way, look unbelievable. Ryan Barrow has done an incredible job of replicating part of the Notre Dame Cathedral. And as these giant bells come in, and everybody is, and an entire choir is asking you what makes a monster, what makes a man, you realize that you have gone through the journey of that question, because, there's the expectation of somebody who is a priest, an archdeacon, a member of the church and the community, who should be loving and caring and providing sanctuary. He's really the monster when the bottom line happens, because he, causes some bad things to happen. And then, as you look at Quasimodo, he's so endearing that you start to think he's kind of cute. You don't even see him as a monster anymore, because he's charming and he's delightful. He's childlike, delightful, curious, enthusiastic, all of the things that you would love in a person.
But this innocence, because of his isolation as well, and
right,
it's played. Who's the actor?
That's Sal Garcia. Salvatore Garcia. He's fantastic. He's worked really hard at being an actor. He takes it very seriously. He's young. He's a young man in his early 20s, and he's really professional. It's especially challenging because of the physicality. Now, he has a hump on his back, and he's got a prosthetic over his eye, because it's often referred to as sort of a one-eyed fellow there. It's kind of partially covering an eye, and he can't walk upright. This is hard. This is not a role for an older person. I want to say that out loud. I mean, you'd be like, oh my God, where's my doctor, chiropractor, whatever you need, get into the massage therapy. I don't know. Yeah, this is a tough physicality. And it's same with the gargoyles. Actually, they are all over the place, perching on railings and spinning and rolling around. And those are all young adults who, are willing to take on a challenge like that. So not only is it emotional, but it's physical. And that physicality comes through on stage. And as you, as an audience member, are seeing that, you're suddenly endeared to him, not for his disabilities, but for his ability to rise above that. That's what's so cool.
In my world in psychiatry, I work with folks with these developmental challenges. And I said, this is not a developmental disability. This is a unique ability.
Right.
This is a unique ability. And I think part of Hunchback is, here's this person that, remember, we're in the 1400s, but not that long ago, folks. People like this were dismissed. They were discarded. They were peripheralized. And goodness, we have places like Road to Responsibility, run by Christopher White, who, working with developmentally challenged adults. But these are the folks that were dismissed. And the part about this show is, what is Quasimodo asked to do? He's asked to ring the bells of a cathedral, to bring people to God.
Right.
And yet he is being dismissed and proof. I mean, it's a chilling story. It
is. It's brilliant. Victor Hugo at his finest, because you really care. And there's other characters involved, and there's big anthems and choral things. There's other things that are happening within the town, but it all comes back to him saying, bringing the bells for mass is my job. And I have gone partially deaf because of it, but it doesn't matter, because I know everybody wants to hear those bells, and because it grounds them and it gives them a feeling of belonging. They belong to something. And those are all things that are like a gift. It's just like, when you belong to something like a theater and you say, I'm going to perform every night and I'm going to do my best because I want to give to the community. So I get that giving thing. And I think Hunchback tells that so beautifully. And as Selena said in one of her interviews as Esmeralda, she said, I want my students to see this. I want children to see this show because they will understand kindness better. And I'm like, I love that, because even though, the show can be a little bit dark, I wouldn't recommend it for like the toddlers or anything, but, for older kids, junior high, 10, 11 and up, you should see it because it will teach you that you don't judge people by how they look, but what they can give to you and what you can give back. And it's just a beautiful thing.
Oh, it is. One of my phrases, contribute to humanity to help preserve sanity.
Oh yeah, it's nice. That's nice.
Because when you give back, but it
Yes.
is the story of this person who is then, he falls in love.
Right.
I mean, he meets someone who cares about him.
Yeah, because nobody has done that just to accept him for who he is.
What about that part, Zoe?
Yeah, that's why I love when Esmeralda sings, God help the outcast children of God. She's singing about him. She's singing about her. And it's the, she wants church and safety to be synonymous. She thinks it should be, but it's not at this time. And, she's in this beautiful edifice of where, stained glass and all that should put you in a place of holiness. And yet there's something amiss. And she says, so God help us. She's asking, the question, because if you don't help us, nobody will. That's what she says. It has to start with something from above. People are, there's people worldwide who are labeled and, they're not accepted for whatever reason. So many false assumptions. So, that our shared humanity is what's important. And that, I think that's what the show is about a lot. The shared humanity of so many different types of people. Instead of trying to run out the Romani people out of Paris and save the town, save the beautiful city of Paris, it should be, look at what they're bringing to us and what we can bring for them.
And this feeds right into the I am. I mean, really, the I am idea is that we're always doing the best we can. If you don't like it, you can change it. And so I'm not going to judge those people who want to put Quasimodo in the tower. I want to know why. What's going on in your life that's the best you can do is to alienate someone else. We all want the same thing, which is to feel valuable.
Right.
But so many people increase their value by trying to decrease somebody else's. And we don't.
That's shocking.
Esmeralda does not do that.
No.
Doesn't do that. So that's a major part. But it's also a small change. And part of the I am is saying, because there are 4 domains that influence us, your home domain, your social domain, the biological domain, and the way I see myself, the I see, and the way I think other people see me. Because the domains interact, a small change can have a big effect. We don't need to change everything. So Zoe, based on what we're talking about tonight, what small change can you recommend to our listeners?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the small change would be when you're in a place that you're unfamiliar, try to have an open mind and an open heart. Maybe if people are afraid of something that they're not familiar with sometimes. So try to put that aside, because we're all really the same when it comes down to it. And I think you'll find that people will be more accepting. I guess that would be my small change, because, you may be nervous just going into just someplace you're not used to, whether it's a different place of worship, a town, a store that puts you off, whatever. I mean, there could be so many different things. So I would say, try something new, and you might be surprised. And, hopefully you'll, keep in mind that the arts are a great way to open up your mind.
Yeah. Yeah, folks, if you want to make one small change that's going to affect, go buy a ticket. Right?
Yeah. And you'll feel different. You'll feel different when you go out the door, Joe. I'm guaranteeing that. You will feel uplifted. You'll have hope.
Yes.
And you'll say, yeah, the next time I see whatever, I'm gonna not make assumptions.
No, that's right. Because if we're worried about something unfamiliar, that unfamiliar person is also worried about us. So we have an opportunity to calm every brain down by just
Yes.
some people with that respect. Treat them with respect. Second part of the I am. Everyone's got one. Everyone is interested through their I see domain, what you think or feel about them, which has an effect on their biological domain, because it feels different when you feel respected or disrespected.
Right.
You're part of someone's home or social domain. So the second truth of the I am, you control no one. You influence everyone. You get to choose the kind of influence you want to be. Zoe Bradford, co-founder, Company Theater, co-founder extraordinaire. What kind of influence do you want to be?
It's a beautiful question. And I want to influence particularly young people, but it could be inclusive of everyone, to really look, really see, and really appreciate the world around you. I think that's so, visceral to me, is don't take things for granted. So if you do, and that could be simply just looking out your window and seeing something you haven't noticed before, or it could be, like going to something like the Hunchback of Notre Dame, saying, oh, that might be just something I read in school, boring. And then say, oh, I want to take this one thing away with me and I want to share it. So it could be anything that you're saying, but I think, I just think a passion for people who can see and then interpret, so that you, the audience, or you, the other people, can see it in a different way or a new way. That might be like my favorite thing.
That's great. How do they get tickets, Zoe? And just in general, how do they get to Company Theater?
Yeah, so Company Theater is located in Norwell. We're right off Route 3, which is so convenient, right by the Home Depot exit there. So you can't miss us. We're right on that corner of Queen Anne's corner of everything there, connecting Hingham and Rockland and Norwell and Weymouth. So at any rate, we're right there. It's easy to get to off the highway. And you can just get tickets by going to companytheater.com, or you can show up 2 hours before any performance, and and the box office will be open. And if it's not sold out, you can get tickets for that night, and sometimes you can even get discounts. So check that out. Sometimes there's codes. So
and there's a season ticket option as well.
Yes. So we do have followers who love to just buy the whole season, so they'll come to all 4 adult shows, or then there's youth shows too, which are equally fantastic. So it's a lot of fun, and it gets you out. It's an excuse to go out. You're not going to sit home and watch Netflix, as fun as it might be. You're going to go out and do something else with other human beings, so that you're going to connect, and you're all going to go out into that lobby afterwards and say, wow, I just experienced something. And that's irreplaceable.
Yeah, it's so true. And just as an aside, folks, there is, they do have a liquor license. So you can come in, get yourself a really nice gin and tonic, take it to your seat.
There you go.
Enjoy the show.
That's
Zoe,
right.
thank you so much for coming.
Thank you.
Looking forward to having you back again next year to talk about more of the shows.
Love it. You're great.
Yeah.
Great. Both of you were super. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Zoe.
Hi, Zoe. Mark, thanks a lot. We'll see you.
All right. Have a great week.
Bye.
Go, go, go.